Ooh. Ooh.
You're gonna be on the video. Since you want to make noises, you're in the video now. Everybody say hi to Sana. Alright folks, welcome to the video. Today we're going to be working on the Drift Fox, your favorite car, and I'm not sponsored by Quick Jack. I just love doing that. It makes me feel so official. First off, if you don't have a Quick Jack in your garage and you do this kind of stuff, you got to get one. Anyways, today we are going to be working on the Stifflers suspension subframe bracing system. So this is like a matrix subframe brace, subframe connectors, and basically the system comes in 3 boxes. It's actually 3 components to the whole system. It comes in 3 boxes. I ordered this one from Late Model Restoration. What you get is your 2 full-length subframe connectors, which you see right here, and that's nothing out of the ordinary. If you're a Foxbody owner, you know what those are. We've got the rocker rails is what they call them, or the jacking rails, and these actually go on the outside, on the outer portion of your body, in between your pinch welds. So you can't really see mine because I got these little side splitters. And then you've got these matrix braces, which goes in between. There it is. So we're gonna lay this whole system out on the floor and give you a good look at it. Alright, so this is how the fit system kind of looks when it's going to be underneath the car. That's what this entire system is called, the fit system. I know that you can use parts of this system. You don't need to buy the whole system if you have a convertible, but I'm not sure which part it comes you don't need. I don't know whether it's the main subframe braces or your rocker braces, but this is made to actually fit onto an OEM convertible as well. You just don't need one of those pieces. It tells you in the directions, but we're not doing a convertible today. We're doing a hatchback, so we're not going to get into that. Also, you can see that the subframe connectors are kinked to kind of go along with the shape of the frame rails. I'm not sure if I have those backwards right here or not. It doesn't matter, again, because we're not going underneath the car, but you can't really mess that up because these pieces right here only go on one way. So if you find yourself fighting with it, you're probably doing it wrong. Another cool thing about this system, as you can see here, you got these little squares right here. That's actually like tape. So these things come in powder coat, and they actually have areas where, so you don't have to do any grinding when it's time to weld all of this stuff together. I may actually have to grind these pieces down because these were not taped off or masked off. But everywhere else that I have to weld on top of these subframe bars, you can see that these are taped off. So all I have to do is just kind of peel that back, and I'll have exposed metal for minimum amounts of work. The other thing that's cool about this system is the adjustability, and as you can see, you can slide these things out, you know, maybe about 2 inches on each one, you know, just to get it in there. I mean, you shouldn't need this much adjustability, but it does help to get the thing exactly dialed in where you want it. So what we're going to end up doing with this system is not 100% sure how we're going to put this thing up yet. We're probably going to end up bolting in the main rails, probably find out how to temporarily attach these rocker rails or jacking rails, and then we're going to try and tack all of these pieces in exactly where they need to be, or, you know, maybe do a little bit more than tack. Then we're going to take the whole system out of the car. We're going to weld all of these pieces. A lot of fancy guys like to do TIG welds and have really TIG welds, but this is what I'm going to be working with over here. Good old Harbor Freight Special has yet to let me down, except when it broke, and then I bought a new one for $100 because it's really easy to get a hold of them, and it's not $1,100 like a real welder. But it gets the job done, just maybe not as pretty as some other things. Not sure if I'm going to be 100% able to install this to my car today. the Harbor Freight welder does have its shortcomings, and I'm not sure that I want to attempt to attach these to the chassis using this welder, because I'm going to be underneath the car on my back with sparks coming down, and that's just not real fun. So I may end up taking this system to Thomas's house afterwards, let him do it with a real welder, get a little bit better welds attaching this actually to the chassis. So let's see, we're gonna go ahead and jump right into this. All right, one other thing I wanted to add, folks. I know that this system, all this metal, big trailer ramp ladder looking things, looks like it's gonna add a ton of weight to your car. Honestly, I just looked it up. These things only weigh 40 pounds. The whole system actually only weighs 40 pounds. So honestly, adding 40 pounds to the chassis, which is gonna enhance the whole chassis, and 40 pounds is not really something that you're gonna feel a difference in your car. So that's the weight on the system, and we're gonna go ahead and get on with this install. All right, so one other thing, anybody that knows anything about modifying Fox bodies knows that the first thing that you do when you get one of these cars is you put subframe connectors on them. So why is it that I've waited so long to get subframe connectors? Actually, I haven't. The first thing that I did do when I got this car is actually to get subframe connectors. But I went and bought the cheapest, crappiest ones that they have on eBay. And I went and got an exhaust shop to put them on. And they did a really terrible job. So, let me see. So you can kind of see them right there. Those skinny little rails. And they're only being held on by that small little tack weld right there. And, they're not really doing what they're supposed to be doing. So we're going to be cutting these off of there and putting the good ones on. And we're going to take these off of the car, and we're going to hold these side by side so you can see the difference between cheap eBay subframe connectors and the real deal. Alright, so we just snatched off the first subframe connector, and I just want to do a quick comparison of the cheap ones that you get from eBay versus a good full-length subframe connector. This is not full length, this is the full length. The reason why people get the shorter ones is because these can tend to cause clearance issues with long tube headers. I'm not exactly sure how. I don't think I'm going to have those issues, and if I do, I'm going to chop with the angle grinder. And so there's what it looks like. There's a difference in gauge of steel you can see there. And yep, the cheap bays. Alright guys, here's the situation report. I'm looking visually beat. We jumped forward a little bit. This is a 2-hour install, because that's what the paperwork says. I'm at about 3.5 hours right now, and I have welded nothing. All I've got installed so far is the driver's side rocker panel rail, and I've got the full-length subframe connector, and not even installed, they're just mocked up. And so where am I having issues? It's nothing major, it's just really time consuming. What's going on right now? First of all, my pinch welds were destroyed. Those things were in really bad shape. So I spent a lot of time just trying to bend those things back, because this bar right here sits up against your pinch welds. Also, just gonna take a moment to note, this bar installs long ways vertically, not horizontally flat ways. The second thing is I have a bolt-in cage from Maximum Motorsports. Even though you see bolts through it here, we bolted it in and we also welded it in, but these bolts also cause clearance issues. So I had to go ahead and notch those out. So I've got a notch here, and I've got a couple of notches here. I went ahead and ground those down just so that we could have space to weld those two. So the cool thing is, because of the way this system is situated, I'm going to be able to tie this in directly to my cage. So that's really cool. Not only on the rocker rails, but also on the webbing. So now that I'm where I am now, we've got the subframe connector mocked in. We've got the rocker panel rail mocked in. I can start to put the webbing up, and I can actually start to tack that in. And also, one of the indicators as to whether or not you've got these things pointed in the right directions is, once again, these masked off areas of the clear coat where you're going to peel these things off. They're roughly in the right locations, and they're roughly the same size as these tabs here. Unfortunately, I just don't have enough hands to show you as I hold it up. This is the part where it'd be really great if you could have a friend help you. Unfortunately, it's past midnight right now, and my friend has gone home. So I'll just be down here mocking this thing up by myself. So right now, what I'm gonna try to do is maybe get another jack in here, hold up this rear rail, and I'm gonna put tacks in this joint here and all of these little flat thingamajigs here, these L brackets here. All right, one other thing I wanted to make note of that's gonna throw you off a little bit is, as you can see, the rocker rail and the subframe connector are both just about the same length. They're the same length. Everything you see on the internet and even in their directions manual, you're gonna see that the rocker rail is shorter. I know that they used to make their kit this way. I saw a couple of reviews in some places where people actually didn't buy their rocker rails and they bought their own rocker rails, and because they wanted longer ones. So it looks like Stifflers just went ahead and upgraded the kit, updated the kit, and now they provide a longer rail. So I think that's really cool when a company takes note of their customer feedback and they improve their product. Even though their directions are outdated, they've got a better version out, an updated version. So that's really cool. Appreciate it, Stifflers. All right, so a quick update on where we are now. I went ahead and cleared off all the welds. I went ahead and cleared off all the powder coat on the other side of the webbing. So remember, these came cleared off already and everything else came taped off. But these were all powder coated, and I assume that's just for ease of manufacturing, and you know, it lowers their cost and time and everything like that. So I'm not mad about that. You do have to grind off the other side of these guys. There is some grinding that I'm going to have to do on the chassis of the car. Obviously, we're going to do that before we completely put the brakes on. But then also, we're going to have to do some grinding on this rail here. Even though this is pre-masked off for you, with them including a different rail in here than this short one that they show, you can put the thing in backwards. It's a little bit confusing, but the tape marks aren't 100% lining up with these guys here. So I'm just going to grind off my own marks, and once it's all done, it's all going to get painted anyway and undercoat or whatever I choose to use. So all that grinding is going to happen, and then we're finally going to be able to start tacking the webbing in place. Alright, so now I've got these nice little globs all over the place, and that should be enough to hold this thing together so I can get this dropped out of the car, but it's pretty much sized up. So now I'm going to go ahead and unbolt it from the seat bolts, drop the entire system out of the car, and we're going to go ahead and fill in all of these welds. But before we go ahead and fill all this stuff in, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing, get the other side mocked up. Alright, so looking underneath the passenger side, there's a couple of challenges you're going to want to watch out for over here. As you can see, the pinch welds over here are pretty much destroyed as well, but at least they're pointing outwards, and that's not going to pose me much of a challenge. What you're probably going to see on your car is brake lines and fuel lines. One of these lines, this line here, is the fuel tank vent line, which I have disconnected on my car because I've reconfigured all of that stuff. This is my rear brake line right here. That's easily pushed to the side, so not a big deal with that. I don't remember how the stock fuel lines goes, but these are my fuel lines at this time. And the only thing we're going to have to worry about is when we go to weld this thing to the actual frame rail, we can disconnect these from where they're mounted and push these off to the side. So that's an easy job for me. But for you, you definitely want to take a lot of care and make sure that you're not welding or damaging your brake lines or fuel lines. Alright, so there's the fit system all tacked together, and pretty much going to start just welding all of these joints as much as I can until my welder runs out of wire, because I don't have a lot of wire. Alright guys, this is the most welding I've ever done to anything in my life, except maybe Steve's car. I don't know, maybe more than that. But anyways, this is all done. I've got my nice Harbor Freight boogers on there, and that's what's going to be holding this thing together. Like I said before, the manual says 2 hours install time. It took me more than 2 hours just to weld this thing. And if you're TIG welding, like, that's going to take you twice as long. So definitely a 2 hour install time is not realistic. Side note, there is another suspension system that's similar to this made by Ken Brown, except you don't custom fit it and weld it together. It's just all one piece. So you could probably slap that thing in about 2 hours. Nothing against his product. I chose this one. I started to regret it a little bit, but they're similar products. I'm still happy I got this one. But anyways, that's all besides the point. We are going to try to stuff these in the car. I don't know if it's going to work, but Thomas is waiting on us, and we're going to take it over to his house and try to actually get these mounted to the chassis. Alright guys, we're at Thomas's house. We've got the car up on the lift, and we're going to get ready to go ahead and slap these subframe braces in here. Now, doing this on a lift is a little bit difficult because all the spots where you would normally lift the car is the spots that you're going to be working in. But we looked at it real careful, and we found that, I mean, if you take this thing all the way up to the very edge of the front pinch weld, and back here on, I guess that's your torque box. I'm not 100% sure, but on my car, it's where my subframe mounts. But on your car, if you're watching this, it's probably where your rear control arms attach. So that's how that looks, and pretty much we're just gonna go ahead and bolt this thing back in to the seat bolt holes, which we've got right here, and then we're gonna start welding. All right folks, Thomas is here in Thomas's garage, and we got the car raised back up. There he is. And we went ahead, we bolted the braces in. I mean, this thing has been going up, down all day. And now it's to the point where we can finally actually attach this thing to the car. So, still keep reminding you guys about this 2 hour install time. It's not happening.
Yeah, that's some bullshit. Are you still using the G7X?
Yes. Oh, you are. Yeah, G7X is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, there goes Thomas getting those good welds in. Finally on the last stage of this thing. All right folks, so we're back here on Stu's garage, and we have pretty much wrapped up the install. Went ahead and brought it back home so we can get everything painted. Once again, shout out to Thomas for putting all these welds in here, getting everything tied into the chassis. That's what it looks like once it's all done and painted. It's really awesome to have friends that you can call on to hook you up with good work like that. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Thomas. So that's pretty much it for the install. I definitely give this product a good review. On the drive home last night, the car felt amazing, hitting bumps. Just felt like a completely different car. I mean, I almost felt like I was driving the BMW. So I really enjoy the fact that I have upgraded suspension on there. If you don't think all of this welding and stuff is up for you, which was tons of work, you may want to go with the Ken Brown alternative, which each side comes in one complete piece. It's not as adjustable. But again, I mean, even though the tolerances aren't super tight on these cars, you may not need that level of adjustability. So either or, each product should do about the same thing. Thumbs up to that. We'll catch you on the next one.